Good morning. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining the 45 this morning. My name is Jasmine Brand. Thank you so much for taking time out of your week to join this community coffee chat. We started it a couple months ago, and I started it selfishly because I was having a tough time with 2020, honestly, and was looking for some more conversation, a way to have purpose at the end of the week, and also just to do a little self-care. And I realized I was not the only one. So that's what the 45 is. We have special guests on. We talk about different topics, whether it's breathing, how do we deal with our anxiety, designing the ultimate work from home space. Next week, actually, which I'll tell you about in a little bit, we'll be traveling somewhere, virtually, of course. So this is really just a time for you to not think about that inbox, right? And not think about all the things you have to do, and to just kind of spend a little time on yourself and think about where you are right now, how you're dealing with everything, and know that you're not alone. Today's topic is about purpose and passion, which I'm really passionate about. And our guest this morning, I was just telling her I've been, and I say pleasantly stalking, because if I don't put the pleasantly in front of it, it sounds strange. But her career, and what her nonprofit has been amazing. And so I bought your tees, everything, Paige. I was all about that T-shirt you had. I was there. So Paige Chenault is joining us this morning. So a couple of housekeeping rules. This is on Zoom, so you can log in with your screen on or off. While we're talking, you probably want to turn your audio off so that everyone can hear. But feel free, if you want to leave your screen on, you can pop in the conversation, so informal. This is saved, so I will have this on YouTube afterwards. And we've been doing these conversations now for quite some time. So there's several really great topics for you to kind of delve into in your own time, in your own schedule, especially if you're not the person that likes to talk about lots of different things with lots of coffee early in the morning. I tend to be that person. I feel like I'm finding my tribe that also likes to do that too. But if you like to watch this later, you totally can too. So without further ado, I want to delve into this conversation. Paige, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. I was telling Jasmine that I have become a morning person. So 8:15 is like late for me right now, and that feels pretty good.
Yay.
So really excited to be here. I am having technical difficulties no matter how many times I take Zooms from home. So if something happens, I'll pop right back on. But now I'm joining you from my phone, Jasmine. So
okay, no problem. I always like to start these off with a little bit of a toast. So if you've got your coffee, I'm going to yay. Toast. Thank you so much for everyone for joining us this morning. So Paige, I've been stalking you, but for those that have not and don't know everything about what you've been doing for the last 8 years and plus, can you share a little bit about who you are, the Birthday Party Project, and also what are you listening to and watching right now? What are you obsessed with?
Okay, so much to say. Okay, so my name is Paige Chenault. I look forward to getting to know every single face and name on this Zoom call. So let's be friends and reach out for sure. Prior to founding the Birthday Party Project, I was a wedding and event planner. In fact, I'm so happy that I see one of my brides on here this morning. My sweet bride, Joy, who had the coolest wedding. So I had a wedding and event planning company for 10 years in total. Loved being a part of people's celebrations. And one day, actually, I was pregnant with my daughter and was reading a magazine article about kids' birthday parties and realized that I could use the gifts and the talents that I had acquired and honed over the years in the event world to throw birthday parties for kids that might not ever experience the joy that comes from a all of those gifts and to me. So I'm going to pause for a minute and make sure you guys can see and hear me. Everybody though. Yeah, I want to take it.
Yeah,
can you hear me?
In and out a little bit with the audio.
Guys, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on today, but it is like, oh, welcome to my world.
That's okay.
Might be better. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, let's try again. Well, I don't have to try again, but okay. So, oh, look at all this. We have Leanne and common. That's so fun, Lords. Okay, so taking this idea of planning and being a part of people's most sacred celebrations, weddings and bar and bat mitzvahs and birthdays, and then being able to translate that into the birthday party project was something that that happened kind of over. It happened. This idea came to me instantly, truly instantly, like fire in my belly, punch in my gut. Like I can use the gifts and the talents that I have to give back to kids that might not ever experience a celebration. But the actual process of going from an event planner into launching a nonprofit was certainly more than instant. It took a few years worth of, raising a baby and continuing on with my event planning business, and then taking that and putting my personal board of directors together to then be able to launch the birthday party project. So quickly, the birthday party project, we partner with homeless shelters, transitional living facilities, and we throw birthday parties for the kids that are staying there. We partner with kids who have experienced domestic violence, kids and families who are chronically homeless, moms who are fleeing sex trafficking situations. So what we have learned over the last 8.5 years is that homelessness looks very different than the way that I originally thought homelessness looked. It is not people that are, dependent or trying to break a dependency on drugs. These are not people that often make bad decision after bad decision. Some of these people are doing all that they can to provide and to survive with their family. And it's traumatic, and it's chaotic, and it's incredibly uncertain. And so what we have found over the last, almost 9 years is that we get to show up every single month for the kids and the families that we celebrate. And every single month we enter those doors of the agency, and some of the families are there for the very first time and interacting with us for the very first time. And some of those families have been in shelter for months. And so we're able to actually build relationships with them. And we hope that by continuing to show up for our kids and for these families and to celebrate, that they can see that there's a community of people that are championing for them. And so now we can talk about the pandemic in a little while. But anyway, so that is kind of a little bit about the birthday party project, what started here in Dallas in January of 2012. We now are represented in 19 cities across the country. And gosh, we have celebrated over 12,000 kids with about 65,000 kids in attendance at these parties. So gosh, lot has happened in the last almost 9 years.
That's incredible. That's really incredible. So yeah, I have lots of questions, of course, but what are you first of all, you sound very cheery and bubbly. So I'm surprised you weren't a morning person. You sound lots of energy. I have to drink coffee to get to where you are, Paige. So I'm thinking you might have been a morning person before this pandemic, didn't know it, because I'm feeling a early morning, cheery kind of vibe. Or is that just for us?
I'm really energized by people. And so
okay.
Even though we're all gathering on Zoom, I can see people's faces, I can see your names. And from that alone just gives me what I need, the boost that I need.
I love that. So what are you currently obsessed with? I'm not going to share my obsession. I share it every week because now it's getting embarrassing, because I've shared several times that I have a slight obsession with Real Housewives of New York City. and I've gotten emails afterwards about it. So I'm no longer going to talk about that, but I'm still watching it, you guys. What are you and it's COVID. I think it's a COVID situation, because I'm watching the same thing over and over, Paige. We could talk about it later, but it's strange. What are you watching, listening to, making? Like what's your jam right now?
Okay, so I am a person that likes to be busy, but what I have learned during COVID is that I have been able to slow down quite a bit. So prior to COVID, I probably filled every single ounce of my day doing something or listening to something or watching something or constantly in motion. And actually, COVID has provided me just this incredible gift of slowing down and feeling my feelings and all the things. And so for me, I've learned to walk. And I know that that sounds strange, but I'm a runner. I'm a triathlete. I like to go fast. I like to move fast. And so I've actually had this incredible opportunity to learn to walk. And so during my walks, I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I nerd out on a lot of them, but I love the Brene Brown podcast the most. I listen to now she just started her Dare to Lead podcast, and it's incredible. I'm only one episode in, and I'm loving it so much. But Brene has been really has been a great resource and partner to me on my walks in the morning. So that would be one of them. The other thing is I'm loving the Peloton app. Whether you actually are on a Peloton or you're just, using the app, like I use it in my living room on my floor, and I get up every morning and start my day with my quiet time and then jump into a workout. And so that's been great. I will tell you that I don't watch much TV. And I'm really excited to welcome Miss Maisel back when she comes back to TV. But there's been so much noise recently that I just don't want the extra. So if you see me with the TV on, it's because my husband is watching sports or we're watching like Seinfeld reruns. I mean, I'm super boring.
You know what's so funny? This is even the worst part is that I don't even have a TV. I watch it on my phone, a page. That's sick, sad. Yeah, that's the sad part. But that Peloton, yes. Because I haven't had a TV in forever, but that is the one thing. And Jamise, I'm glad I'm not the only person who's obsessed with Real Housewives. But that Peloton app, if you guys haven't checked that out, I do not have the Peloton. I have not made that investment yet. I'm slowly getting there. It may be a holiday thing for me. But that app is amazing. They had like a trial, I think, that lets you try it out for like a month or something. It's awesome. They have so many workouts, so many resources. So it's amazing. So I'm glad you shared that too. So
Yeah.
with the birthday party project, it started as this passion, and it's kind of evolved. And the reason why I wanted you to be on this show and this chat page is because joy is so important. And I think right now, especially with so much going on, having a connection to joy and purpose is what will keep you going. And I know for me as an entrepreneur that's had highs and lows, successes and failures, if I didn't have something that was driven from passion and purpose, I probably would have quit. Now I probably did in my mind. I probably very dramatically quit quite a few times, but I always keep going because it's this passion and finding joy in the little things. And that this whole idea of the joy of these birthday parties, we take them for granted, and especially after a certain age. I'm not trying to throw a birthday party, but I should though, right? Because it's this joy, right? So can you talk a little bit about, it's kind of funny because the joy changes lives is the mantra for the birthday party project, but it feels like your whole life too is kind of embodying this a little bit too. How has your organization impacted you personally?
Yeah, Jasmine, you have a gift of words, and I think you've said a lot in a little amount of time to unpack. But I would say a couple of things. I started this because I felt called to it, and I resisted the urge quite a bit. And then I realized that I really needed to lean into this idea because it didn't go away, right? And I am a recovering people pleaser, and some days I'm like still, I jump back into the people pleasing full on. And so what I noticed was that through this transition of, doing weddings and parties and events, but really wanting to like pursue this passion and this excitement around celebrating kiddos, like there were these moments where I recognized that if I wanted to pursue this passion, if I wanted to like really embrace this idea that had like clung to me, then I had to start saying no to things. And I think that that's really what happens a lot for us, is that we get excited about something, or we do start to find that we're passionate about a specific area, and yet we don't create any space to pursue or to think about it. And so in those moments early on of just like chipping away space to start saying yes to the things I really wanted to say yes to, right? Because when we say yes to things that we don't want to say yes to, unfortunately, we're leaving a lot of space where we have to say no, right? Like we have to, because we're not able to do the things we want to do. And so I started saying no to things that I didn't want to do. I started saying yes to the things that I really wanted to pursue. And it wasn't joyful always. And it wasn't this like, oh, well, everything is better and everything is wonderful because I'm completely pursuing this avenue of passion and purpose. I'm leaning into this passion. It's creating a purpose for my life. And so it's so easy. And I'm always like happy and filled with joy. Absolutely not. That's just not how it worked for me. And my guess is that's not how it works for the rest of us. I think that instead we get to kind of sharpen our saw, right? And I think that we get to find ways to stay motivated, to continue to pursue this passion that we have. And I think that in those moments, you can find joy in the small things. And I would say that I found joy in the moments of letting truly like party planner, love logistics, need things to be right. I found a lot of joy in watching other people lead our parties and me standing back and it not being perfect. I found a lot of joy in the moments of like struggle between, how do I let go of this really successful business that I've created and really, harness these resources to start something new. There was a lot of tension in that, but it allowed me to build some muscles that I needed to find confidence in my abilities, to find confidence in the direction that I was headed. And in those moments, I think that's where things started to kind of to rumble for me, that those joyous moments kind of started to rumble. So I would say that with the birthday party project, and I know that I'm long on words and short on time, but with the birthday party project in general, my favorite part is watching people come together. What I think that we have done really well, and yes, COVID has shifted some things for us, but I really think that what we have done well is that we recognize the power of people. That you have a gift, Jasmine, Lords, you have a gift, Lisa, you have a gift. I mean, Andre has gifts, and all of them are different, right? And so how do I use your gifts to bring that into our organization and make our community stronger? Because I can't do it alone and I don't want to do it alone. And when we bring people into our parties, and these are people from all backgrounds and walks of life, and then they enter into a shelter environment. And a lot of times we call them birthday enthusiasts. That's what we call our volunteers. And a lot of times they come in and they're nervous too. They haven't maybe been inside of a shelter before. They don't know what to expect, but they're there and they're ready to work. And the best part for me is to just say, just come in and make a connection with someone. Just look them in the eye, introduce yourself. You never know what's going to come from these small moments. And so as it is with weddings and events, me standing in the corner of the room and watching a celebration unfold and finding such joy in those moments, I would say that that is exactly the same way that I experience joy with the birthday party project. It's not about me leading an organization. It's not about, the thousands of volunteers that we engage every single month individually. It's about a collective unit of all of us being in there together and truly watching somebody that is really good at connecting with little kids come up, or somebody that really wants to talk to moms or hold the babies or color. And people, I do believe that joy is found for them in those moments, but certainly for me, that's when I experience the greatest amount of joy.
I love that. What's so interesting is that a couple of some of the comments are recognizing others' gifts and talents and cultivating is so important. And I loved what you said also about confidence to find competence, right? You made a statement earlier about finding the time the space to even be able to find joy and to say yes to things. We recently had a conversation about how to get things done. And we started to kind of unpack that. The reason why a lot of us procrastinate or don't make time for ourselves or don't complete things, it's sometimes from anxiety, sometimes perfectionism, and not believing that we deserve this time to ourselves. Last week we talked about taking 5 minutes a day and doing this little dance party, and finding this time, even these little things, right? And so it sounds easy. It sounds like it's almost like working out, right? We know we should work out and I should not have carbs, but I'm still doing it and I can't stop, especially right now, Paige, but that's a whole other conversation. I already know, right? And I have had donuts this week knowing what the outcome will be from these donuts. I had a friend tell me, side note, about these pumpkin glazed donuts at Whole Foods, you guys. Just
They're so good. I've had them before.
Life changing. But I know what the outcome is, although I know what my dreams and my visions are. So how have you been able to do that? You know, taking this time and having the space to say, I want to find a career or a business that's filled with passion. And yes, we know it's not perfect all the time, but a lot of us have the challenge just to even have that space. And I think if we unpack it, it's because we don't believe we deserve it, or maybe are afraid. How have you kind of overcome the fear or finding time to say yes to things?
Well, it sounds like you've been in some of my therapy sessions. So
we thought maybe we have the same therapist.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's really interesting because I am a recovering people pleaser. A lot of my hustle was built around other people, right? Making sure that everybody else felt good and all the things were, that was at a cost to me and my soul. But here's what I would say. A few years ago, if you would have asked me what I was afraid of, I would have said, I'm not afraid of anything. But what I've discovered is that I'm absolutely afraid of things. And that is why I do so much, right, for other people, because I have that is something that I struggle with. I'm a 7 on the Enneagram. I don't know if that's helpful to anybody, but perfection.
I'm an 8. And okay. What are 7s? Can you tell us a little bit? Actually, tell maybe who don't know what the Enneagram is, if you can share a little bit about that.
It's kind of like a personality. I don't even want to call it a test, but it's this, it's a tool that we can use to unpack our kind of our gifts and our strengths, but also they call it kind of shadow side assessment. Thank you. That's the right word. Assessment. It's like an assessment. And it gives me some tools and resources to know a little bit more about myself and my my habits and my tendencies, and trying to work, to the good stuff, but to also then, expose some of those things that probably need some work. But if you look up the Enneagram, ENNEAGRAM, you can take I think there's like an $11 assessment that you can take, and you'll learn a lot. But I'm a 7. So I am an enthusiast by trade, and I want everything. I want all the people to be happy and to do all the things, and I like to move fast. But here's what I would say is fear is a real thing. And I think that we do need to recognize what we're afraid of. And I think that if we take the time, and time is the thing, right? The discipline to unpack this stuff is really important. And discipline is hard for someone like me. I mean, I'm like all over the place and running here and there, but I'd say over the last year, especially, over the last year, especially, I've really learned the importance of creating really strong habits. But, when it comes to overcoming fear, I think it just starts by like that first step. And I know that sounds so simple, but it's what everybody says on Instagram. I get that, but it's true. It's really true, because just think about it. It's just like a baby learning to walk. That little baby takes his first couple of steps and they start to fly. Like there's this confidence that comes with like, oh, look at me, I just did that. Well, I can do the next one. And I don't think our series of steps are always back to back. I think sometimes it's easy for us to take a step forward towards something that we want, and we're going to get knocked down. We're going to get derailed. It's going to feel really icky and uncomfortable, for sure. And then I think that we have the chance to kind of sit in that if we'll allow ourselves to learn from what those feelings are and why we're feeling that way. Work through it a little bit, take the next step. I don't know. It's hard for me to say that. I have some people that are, very dear in my life, and they operate in this like risk averse mentality. I don't know what that is. I don't understand it. Like I'm like a, aim ready fire. I mean, a fire ready aim girl, so I don't get the risk averse thing. I'm like all in. So I can't really speak to that so much, but for me personally, it just started with decluttering my schedule, from writing down some priorities about for me personally, but also for the direction I wanted to go in my nonprofit journey. And then by decluttering my schedule, I allowed for time and space to make steps toward that. And then I just started to chip away at it a little by little. And here's the other thing I noticed, or I recognized early on, is that a personal board of directors was critical to our success. I needed people around me to tell me the truth. Like, I have a lot of cheerleaders in my life, and I love being a cheerleader for other people. But at the end of the day, I need somebody to be honest with me and say, you're missing the mark, or gosh, have you considered this? And so early on, I put a personal board of directors around me, and it's evolved over time. But I also think that they allowed me the confidence that I needed to kind of push past some of these fears that I didn't even know that I had.
I love that. And when you say personal board of directors, do you mean actually for your own personal life? And is that's different than the board of directors for the birthday party project?
Absolutely. Yep. And again, like this could be your best friend, but you know what? I have a couple of people on my personal board of directors that are not my best friend. These are people that I just can trust to come and show up as myself, and I know that they'll do the same in return, and they'll give me honest feedback. And I really appreciate that. And again, this is it, I haven't given them a badge that says Paige board of directors, but I have allowed these relationships to evolve over time and to just come to the table, as transparent as possible, and to share and to be ready to receive the feedback that I need in order to grow and kind of move through this role and this organization that we've created over time.
Totally. Now, Misha, I think you're with your tribe members. So Misha just said that she finished a book called The Clutter Connection. She said she learned that she's a critic with perfectionist paralysis. I feel like we're in the same boat, Misha, so I need to check out this book. Like I knew, but now I know. I know it's almost one of these things like when you just think when you hear your voice, you think you know what you sound like, and then you play it back, you're like, oh, I didn't know I sounded like that. So I'm part of that perfectionism tribe. I just don't always think of it that way too. So I'll check out The Clutter Connection. If you guys have any other book suggestions, podcast shows, let us know as we kind of go on this journey of kind of passion and purpose. So Paige, we of course have to talk about this year, 2020, right? And we've all been impacted by this year of so many different things. The cool thing that I love about this conversation each week is that it's the reason why the impetus for starting it and the reason why I wanted to do it on a weekly basis is that it's a reminder that there is always some hope and there's something positive out of everything, because you're exactly right with the news cycle and with so many different things happening, with this being in a major election year too, it feels like the noise sometimes outweighs the good. And so this 45 minutes has really kind of been something I look forward to every week, because it's just a chance to say, for these 45 minutes, I'm going to pause and say, there's hope. We can breathe a little bit. There's some good things. Maybe tell us a little bit about, so I know you're a morning person now, so that's one positive impact, but the basis of the birthday party project are these amazing birthday parties. So how has COVID, pandemic, I mean, even I mean, there's a whole list of things that have happened this year. How have you been impacted personally by this? And how is the birthday party project adjusting and navigating this kind of new normal?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good that has come out of this for me, but I would be remiss not to talk about the hard stuff, right? Because what I don't want to do is walk away from this 45 minutes together and to paint a picture that everything is so good and easy and joyful all the time, because it is not. Truly, back in April, we recognized that this pandemic was not going to be short-lived, that we needed to make some shifts that would allow us to continue to celebrate our kids in extraordinary ways, but we needed to settle in, that we weren't going to be able to just walk back into one of our agency partners and throw a big bash. So I actually we had to let go of half of our team. So we went from a team of 8 down to a team of 3 plus a part-time gal. We cut our budget by about $1 million. And, necessity is the mother of invention, right? So we got to work very quickly to say, how do we continue to celebrate kids well? So rather than showing up and celebrating all the kids that have a birthday that month with all the other kids and families that are staying at the agency, we shifted to a one-to-one model. And now we are doing what we call birthday in a bag. We have a great partner with Oriental Trading Company, and we came to them with this idea, and they said, Let's do it. So we have these birthday bags, which are drawstring backpacks, and it's filled with everything a kid needs really just to feel celebrated on their birthday banners and streamers, and then age appropriate games and activities. And so we are shipping these directly to our agency partners. Those are shelters, transitional living facilities. We're shipping them directly to them with their name on them. And they also receive a birthday gift. And so this is off of their wish list that they have provided to us. And so we are really excited about that. And Jasmine, the thing that I love the most about this new direction is, and this is a call out for all of you all that are on this morning. I see that there's Chris on here and Michael. So, okay, so here's what we're looking for. We are looking for virtual birthday wishes. A shameless plug. She didn't even know it was coming. But we're looking for virtual birthday wishes. Like, we would love for you all to take your phone, record a 10-second, 1-minute happy birthday video, and it needs to be generic. Let it be generic so we can use it for any kid, that comes through. But these virtual birthday wishes, we're collecting and gathering these from you all, and we're putting them on a QR code. And so when the kid receives their birthday bag, there's a birthday card on the outside of that bag, and it has a little QR code that their family member can hover a phone over, their case manager can, and up will pop your virtual birthday wish. So for all of the difficulties in the beginning of this pandemic and the sadness that comes from growing this incredible organization to then having to slash it so much, we really have found like fun ways to continue to show up for our kids and let our kids see that there are faces out there, real human beings that want to celebrate them and that believe in them and that are championing for them. So that has been really such a great gift. And then the other thing that I would
real
say,
quick, Paige, how do we submit? Because I love this idea of the birthday wish. How do we, and we'll send an email out, of course, too, with more information on this page. Anything else you need us to kind of hype up for you, but how do we submit a birthday wish? I love that idea.
yeah, you can email it to joy@thebirthdaypartyproject.org. So make it long, make it short, make it festive, make it easy, whatever you want, send it our way, joy@thebirthdaypartyproject.org. And then we will upload it into some fancy system that I know nothing about. And then it gets somehow magically on a QR code. I have a great team. And so that is the way that I think through this pandemic that our team and our organization has become nimble. We have become very aware of what we are capable of. We have leaned in all the way to the resources that we have been provided and also to all the help that we can get, right? And in some ways, we've recognized that you know what, it was time for us to maybe reevaluate some things. And so there's an exercise that I do often personally, and I also do this with our team. It's called Start, Stop, Continue. And I don't know if any of you all have ever done this exercise. It's kind of like a marketing exercise, I think. But anyway, so every so often we sit down and we talk about things. Hey, what are some things that we want to start? Personally, what do we want to start? Professionally, what do we want to start as an organization? What are some things that we have been doing that we absolutely want to stop doing? Like, it makes no sense. We're spinning our wheels. It's bad stewardship, whatever it is. And then what are some things that we are doing really well and we want to continue? And so as I've been able to do that, not only for our team, and we've worked on this together time and time again, we've been able to kind of really refine our processes and get really specific about who we want to be and the direction we're headed into the end of 2020 and into 2021. I still want to be in 2019. And then as personally, I have, I am in therapy, guys, and I love it so much. And on my walks and just through learning, through books and through podcasts, like I continue to refine my list of start to stop, continue. So, so I have worked really hard. Probably every 2 or 3 months, I go back through that list and I hold myself accountable to that, right? Because if I've said I wanted to stop it, then I need to stop. And I really need to, and that's where your personal board of directors can come in. Because if you can't do it on your own, then tell somebody else about it and make sure that they're holding you accountable to it too. So that's been a really good exercise for me during the pandemic as well.
No, that's great. And I love the fact, this kind of reinforcement that we know that there's bright lights and we can find optimism in everything. But I also know like clarity comes when we actually accept our situation for what it is. Like, this is what it is, good or bad. And then the clarity comes and we can start to navigate through it. But we do have to kind of accept where we are. I think it's so hard though. I think it's sometimes easier this year to say it where we are, especially if you've been furloughed, or for so many small businesses that have had to slash their workforce, or, you know, there's a large percentages of business owners of color. I think it's now up to 60% that their doors will be closed permanently. And so you're faced with the reality of things. So joy, it seems, is the hardest thing to remember, that when all seems to be gone, that there's this, remember why you started, and that there is a hope there. And it may not look like what you thought. And this year has not turned out the way we thought for so many of us, but there's always something there. There's always some hope there. There's always a piece of joy, but it's being reminded about that's been the hard part too, which is why I think having these conversations about, I love this idea of kind of start, stop, and continue, because it's evaluation, but it's also too of reminding ourselves that we're allowed to be happy and to be joyful too, because you sometimes are afraid to do it because you're like, I don't know what's going to happen next. So we have about 6 minutes left. So if you guys have questions for Paige, please chime in. I know this time always flies by, which I tell people. Paige, I'd like to leave with a couple of, you've given us tons of nuggets, by the way, but I like to kind of do kind of a recap. With 45 minutes, we can't do a super huge dive into a topic, but the goal of this is to have a couple of nuggets, a couple of things for you to marinate on as you kind of move forward. Can we maybe go back over and say, what are those 3 to 4 things, if we looked at some of the list of things you've talked about today, about how do we kind of combine this passion and purpose, and how do we make space and time for joy, but also for saying yes? Maybe 3 to 4 things. I think the big one I love is just the cluttering of the schedule. It feels like if you don't have space or time to even start there, I don't know how I could get to the next, to the next thing.
Yeah, actually, I think I think that's a great place to start. I think that I was looking.
You're muted, Paige. Uh-oh.
Okay. How did I do it? Am I done? How did I do that? Does anybody know?
You're back.
Okay. Well, that's interesting, huh? I don't know what I'm doing, guys. Can you see?
We can see you, right? Yes, we can hear you. Oh, okay, there you go. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Guys, I mean, am I like the worst guest you've ever had with this? My goodness.
No, you're fine.
Okay. So perhaps we all, and I'll also put myself on the hook for this, but perhaps we all start with the start, stop, continue exercise. Like, maybe this is a great time to evaluate as we go into like the end of Q4. Let's get through this election, and let's put ourselves in a place to say, what are some things that we want to start, stop, and continue? And I'll be a part of that too. And then I think from there, you know, that decluttering starts to happen naturally, because we have said no to things, right? We're saying, listen, I said I was going to stop doing these things, which means that I need to stop doing it. I'm going to hold myself accountable. I am going to carve out time. I'm going to start decluttering my schedule so that it allows for the yeses to happen. It allows me to pursue what I really want to pursue. And then I think, you know, as it relates to joy, hey guys, I think we all have a role to play in that. I think that while we can sit back and wait for joy to come to us, I think that we have an opportunity to initiate joy. And I'm talking from opening doors for people and looking people in the eye, because we all have masks on and it's really weird. I'm talking about saying an extra thank you. Instead of just asking someone, hi, how was your day? Maybe ask them the next layer of a question. Everybody is like, hi, how are you? And how was your day? Are 2 very easy questions to answer with fine, right? So what if we actually allowed ourselves to initiate more of a deeper conversation with people? I think in those moments when we're initiating these steps toward joy, I think that that's when that connection comes, right? And then when the connection comes, like, that's where joy is found. So I think I want to challenge myself also to be in that place of, instead of sitting back and waiting, let's initiate this. And see where that takes us in the coming weeks and months, especially.
I love that. Like, we have the ability right now, you know, every time we wake up, like the trajectory of our day starts with us. And so if we want to have joy and positive energy and love, then we have to radiate that. I always had a really great friend of mine. She said, I was complaining about dating and I told her I'm just done with it. And she said, well, Jasmine, that's what the universe is going to send you too. Like if you want love, if you want all these things, you have to actually say it. You've got to put it out there in the universe. If you want to have an incredible nonprofit that changes the lives of people, you've got to say it. You've got to put it out there because there's someone in the universe. There's people that want to conspire with you to make this happen too. So Paige, I want to first just thank you for stopping by the 45. This has been this idea that was just this conversation because I was talking to myself too much and was feeling very scattered, honestly, and just feeling like what's going on with this year and realize that we're all kind of in this together and it's just kind of evolved. And I've gotten such an amazing opportunity to learn and be inspired each week. So it's something I really look forward to. And I wanted to thank you for taking time this morning. We will send out, of course, more information about the birthday wishes. I'm obsessed with that, especially in an area where representation matters. It's so important, I think, for individuals to see people that look like them, right? And so I think this is such a huge opportunity from a diversity perspective too, to really get a full range of birthday wishes. So I'm excited. So I will reach out to you, of course, to see how I can support you with that. But can you leave us with any final thoughts? How can we help as a community, help move you forward? How can we help the Birthday Party Project?
Well, you know what? I think the best of humanity is found when we show up for one another. And so I would just encourage us all just to show up for someone this week and show up for someone next week and let that build your confidence into the person that you are and you've been created to be, and leverage your gifts and use those. And it doesn't have to be extraordinary because, you know, in your mind, these big notions, it can be something so small. And when we show up in small ways, it really does lead to big results. And as it relates to the Birthday Party Project, you know, check us out on Instagram at the Birthday Party Project. Check us out on our website. We have a new website coming soon. And then, you know, we would love, you're right about representation matters, and we would love to have more birthday wishes. So send those our way as well. And there are opportunities for you to sponsor a birthday kid and to get involved. And then if you ever need anything from me, just reach out. I'd love to talk to any of you. Paige at thebirthdaypartyproject.org would be happy to cheer you on in your journey as well. So, and Jasmine, thanks for this. I love this 45. I'm like hooked. I'm ready to come back next Friday. This is awesome.
Thank you so much, Paige. And just some of the comments in the chat that we're all inspired by what you're doing and just excited. And when you go on the Instagram page, you'll be hooked. You'll need tissues, but in the best way possible. Like I'm already a mess in general. I'm normally not a super cry person, but it's something about the joy of that. It reminds you that it's these parties that it's so much more than just it's a party. Like it reminds you from those, just the joy of being celebrated and honored and fun. So definitely go on the IG page if you want to have a nice, inspiring morning. And next week, we will actually be in the Big Apple. And I say we will be in the Big Apple, meaning virtually. I have a friend of mine I went to SMU with, Bestie, back in college, that he lives there. He's in press and publicity. He's obsessed with New York. I'm obsessed with New York City. We know that New York City has been hit some of the hardest in this country, but has rebounded and is on the road, as many of our cities are, with the challenges that we've had this year. He is going to join us next week to talk about why he loves New York City. He's going to share a little bit about his journey, but he's also going to talk about some of the businesses that we should be supporting. Because one of the goals of 45 is to, of course, you know, talk about things that will get us inspired, things that help us do better with our jobs, but also to just open up our eyes and give us a different perspective too. So I'm so excited about that. We'll be back the same time, 8:15 a.m. Central Standard Time. I'm so excited to be on this journey with you all. Thank you for joining us. I hope to see you next Friday, and this will be recorded, so I'll send out the link in a little bit. So have a great rest of your day, everyone.
Thanks.
And a great weekend.
Appreciate you.